We start our show with breaking news out of Los Angeles with the season less than 1 week away as we say hello to our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania. Shams, what can you tell us about Kawhi Leonard?
Malika, sources tell me that Kawhi Leonard is expected to be sidelined for the start of this NBA season starting next week. He's continuing to rehab inflammation in his right knee, going through a rehab process with the Clippers to strengthen that knee. I'm told he is still in that protocol, that process. And the Clippers, Leonard, they're working together to make sure whenever he's back on the floor, he's going to be able to sustain and stay on the court, and that they're doing their due diligence and not just bringing him back for the start of the season or rushing him back for a week. But for Kawhi Leonard, this has been something since last spring, really, where it's been a process. He just has not felt right. He's been dealing with swelling in that knee, continued swelling. That's something he's still had and developed over the course of this training camp. So he will be out a period of time to start the NBA season. Still unclear exactly when, but the players, coaches, they are bracing for him to be out a period of time to start the year. This puts a lot of the onus on James Harden. Maybe not to be Houston James Harden, but everything you see out of the Clippers right now and James Harden is that he is in top form. He's ready from a leadership perspective, and also what he's delivered so far on the court in preseason. What he's going to bring is going to be as close to Houston James Harden as we've seen. And then around him, Norm Powell, Derrick Jones Jr., Ivica Zubac, players ready to step up in the absence of Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, wow, out indefinitely, just days away from officially opening their brand new arena here in Los Angeles. Shams, I want to bring in Tim Legler, Kendrick Perkins, and Brian Windhorst into this discussion as well. Brian, the last time that we really saw Kawhi, he was being replaced on the Olympic roster here, and now to hear that months later he is still dealing with this knee inflammation, what's your reaction to this?
Well, Shams reported earlier this year that he had a procedure at the end of last season, and Team USA took really one look at him in workouts and knew he couldn't go. That was really not a difficult decision. They tried to make it a soft announcement, but clearly he was nowhere near ready to go. And yesterday, Brian Shaw, the Clippers assistant coach, spoke to the media, and I don't know if he was supposed to, but he revealed that Kawhi wasn't doing anything with them on the practice court, you know, with the start of the season a week away. And so the disappointment here is that last year was really Kawhi's healthiest year as a Clipper. He was terrific throughout the regular season until this issue popped up at the end of last year and clearly still affecting him.
Yeah, look, here's what I think. I think you're going to hardly see Kawhi Leonard at all this year, if you even see him. The fact that you've had 6 months since we last saw him trying to, fight his way through that playoff series against Dallas and couldn't go. You're talking about 6 months of very little activity, doing nothing but addressing this situation, and you already have inflammation going into the season. This is a really bad sign for Kawhi Leonard. It's bad for the league. We want to watch the guy play. But at this point, with everything he has dealt with in the past, when you're dealing with this on the cusp of a new year, with all that time off, really bad sign for the Clippers, even worse for Kawhi Leonard. I don't know how much we're even going to see this guy play this year.
This is really unfortunate because of the possible 435 games that Kawhi could play since joining the Clippers. He has only played, or rather he has missed 179 of them, Kendrick.
I know, and I think it's about that time to have that uncomfortable, tough conversation. This is not a hot take. But when you think about his history and you think about now and everything that Legs just alluded to, 6 months and it's still problems with his knee, right? And every single season it's a problem when it comes down to Kawhi Leonard health. He needs to sit down at the round table, not only with the Clippers organization, but his family as well. I really think Kawhi Leonard should consider retiring. And I'm a huge fan of Kawhi Leonard, but we done seen and witnessed so many guys go through these problems when dealing with swelling in the knee, when there's only so many surgeries that you could have when it comes down to repairing things, when it comes down to cartilage in your knee. Sooner or later, it's going to be bone on bone. I don't know that's the case. I'm just telling you from past experiences for as teammates that I've had, that at this point in time, that conversation really need to be had. And I think Kawhi Leonard has to be honest with himself, and he knows his body, had that conversation with the organization and the family, but I really do think he might need to consider walking away from the game of basketball.
Of course, Perk, that comes from your experience as an NBA champion here. Let's just base this back in your reporting for a minute here, Shams. Is that anywhere near the reality that they're facing right now as you're looking, as you reported, at him being out indefinitely?
For the Clippers and Leonard, the good news, though, is they feel like he's now on a protocol and a pathway where they found some success in terms of this is the plan. This is the plan we're going to chart. And they feel like they have found it. And I think Kawhi Leonard, from what I'm told, there has been some level of optimism that he has a better handle of where this swelling is at than he has in the past several months. Of course, that's a level of concern. But the fact that they actually have a plan for him and there is a protocol in place, that is the one saving grace you can take from the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard's perspective, is that there is a plan here to see if he can get back on the court and at a high level, sustained level, not just a level where you're still fearing he's going to be in and out of the lineup. They don't want him back in the lineup if it's going to be in and out. They want him to be sustainable. And they feel like with James Harden there, they can at least tread water and play at a high level with him leading the ship.
Right, because when he is on the floor, Kawhi Leonard, he is absolutely incredible to watch, and we cannot lose sight of that. This does, and I cannot underscore this enough, come just has the internet buzzing. Giannis, he was doing an interview with Sam Amick of The Athletic and said this as a Bucks staffer walked by, quote, "If we don't win this year, would you get fired? Do you have it in the back of your mind? What is it this year if it doesn't go well?" That's what he's saying to staffer. Yeah, if we don't win a championship, I might get traded. Yeah, this is the job we live. This is the world that we're living in. It's everybody. Okay, I mean, sure, it is everyone. That's good. That's diplomatic. But Brian, how much should Bucks fans be reading into that comment?
Well, first off, if you don't do your job in Milwaukee, you do get fired. They fired 2 coaches within a couple of months of each other last year. So that's goes without saying. And I think Giannis has this framed a little bit differently than Bucks fans would see it. If the Bucks don't win a championship year, would Giannis want to be traded? They would never trade him if he didn't want to be. And so that's the question. And it's one of the things that a lot of people in the NBA are wondering. What happens if the Bucks for a 3rd consecutive year have a disappointing end to the season? Now, Giannis extended his contract before last year. He's done nothing but show, faith in the Bucks franchise and put his faith in with contract extension after contract extension. But there is no doubt that however you want to parse this, that there's very high stakes on this season for the Bucks.
Yeah, one thing I would change about the quote that we had up on screen that Giannis said, at the very end he said, it's everybody. I would just insert one word, almost everybody. It's not Giannis, meaning at no point will any internal discussion ever take place where they, without discussing this with Giannis Antetokounmpo, say, hey, maybe we should look into moving him. I think what Brian is saying is right. It almost in a way leaves him an out. Potentially, if they flame out this year, for Giannis to go in internally and say, hey, maybe we look at blowing this up, and it has to be initiated by him. I do think the best of the version of Lillard and Antetokounmpo we are about to see. I think that was a transition year in a lot of ways for Damian Lillard. You're going to see their best basketball this year, and I do think Milwaukee's going to have a better version on the court than what we saw a year ago.
Well, and it's important to remember, Perk, that we didn't see a healthy Giannis or really a healthy Dame at the end of last season.
We didn't. And look, they're going to both have to be great, right? When you look at this roster, do they have some talent, but not? Yes, they do. But they don't have enough talent, especially to compete in the Eastern Conference. And I strongly believe that this is a message that Giannis Antetokounmpo is sending to the front office, right? The last time he sent the message, the front office went out and got Damian Lillard. Giannis Antetokounmpo is very familiar and aware what's going on around the league. If you think that he didn't watch the Boston Celtics run through the postseason last season and go win a championship, you're crazy. If you think he's not watching what the Knicks have done this past offseason, especially after getting Karl Anthony Towns, right after getting Mikal Bridges, you're crazy. He watched what the Philadelphia 76ers went done. And so every time I see a message like this from Giannis Antetokounmpo, it's almost like he's sending a subliminal message to the front office and saying, I have championship on my mind. Do you guys have championships on your mind?
I always go back to right after they won the championship in 2021. I was sitting with Giannis. It was just a couple of hours after they won. He'd gone and gotten IV fluids because he was so exhausted. He comes into our little interview room. He's holding the Larry O'Brien in one hand. He's holding his Finals MVP trophy in the other one. And he sits down and he's smiling ear to ear, and he says, you know what, if I never win another championship, I'm happy. I did it the right way. I did it this way. I am happy. This is what it's all about. Obviously, that comes in the glow of just moments ago winning a championship, and he is allowed to feel differently after a couple of years, because once you get a taste of that, you kind of want to go for it again.
And you also see your peers continue to win championships, right? While you're sitting home when the season ends, you're not in that final round. That also influences the way you think.
Absolutely. I think if Giannis could do it and replicate it, though, the way they did in 2021, he's the type of guy. He wants to be able to do it that way. To your point, Perk, he wants the organization to come along with him. All right. A fun return in the NBA last night, friends, after a grueling 2-year.
I respect you more than anything, bro, because that you've been through. We love you, care about you. I'm glad to see you back.
Family on 3, man. 1, 2, 3.
Man, you can't love basketball and not love that. The outpouring of support across the basketball world, it was everywhere. LeBron James even took to social media to offer his words of encouragement as well. Now welcoming in our senior NBA insider and Chicago suburbs. He's very proud of that native, Shams Charania. Shams, you were at the game last night. How did fans receive Lonzo in person?
2.5 years away from the game, of course, he got a massive ovation. And I think just for the game of basketball, seeing Lonzo Ball make this return, it was amazing to see. He's someone that I've covered throughout his entire career, going and seeing him in pre-draft. And really the growth in his game that we've seen, and we saw in New Orleans, we saw in LA, and then in Chicago. This is a team that was fighting for the number 1 seed in his first season in Chicago, 27-13. And then really you have endless opportunity, endless hope in Chicago. And then he has the injury, the first of 3 surgeries. And from there on, it was really 50-50 from what I was hearing, whether he was ever going to play again. And for him to get back on the court and look the way he looked, I think everyone left the arena and last night left that environment saying, again, endless hope and endless opportunity for Lonzo Ball and potentially the Bulls as well.
Honestly, I had chills watching the game, Shams, and this is just a great story all around, which is why I'm so glad that Lonzo Ball is here with us. Lonzo, 1,006 days. What did it feel like running onto the court for the first time after that stretch away?
To be honest, it was just a blessing. That number sounds so crazy. Even when I read that, I was like, man, 1,000 days. It actually went by, a lot faster than it sounded. The journey has been amazing. It's been a long one, but a lot of people have been with me, supporting me, and it all came together last night.
Lonzo, you actually got the game ball as well after the game. Can you just take us through that moment and how that felt?
It just shows you how tight this team is. Like I said, I've been on this journey, but it hasn't been a solo trip. Bulls have been with me 100%. My teammates have been with me along the way, training staff, higher ups, everybody, man. So to get the game ball, also got a jersey signed by everybody. So that moment, I'll never get that back and I'll never forget it.
Zoe, what an experience, right? For you, you have your first of 3 surgeries, the cartilage transplant surgery being the one in 2023. When you get told you're having this procedure, what was your reaction? What goes through your mind? No player in NBA history has ever come back from it. What is the reaction when the doctor is telling you this is what you're going to have, and then your mindset approaching?
The initial reaction is obviously heartbroken. You're getting something that you love taken away from you, and the best people in their profession are telling you that they don't know if you're going to be able to play again. So just the fact that I was able to get on the path, get on the same page with a bunch of doctors and have a plan in play and execute the plan to where 1,000 days later, I get to play the game I love. I couldn't ask for nothing else.
Though you've said you might not be the same player ever again, but when you look at what happened last night, when you think about how you feel now the next day and the next course of your career, what level do you think you can reach now after playing last night, after making this comeback?
I honestly feel like I can just give good minutes on the court, however that may be. I just want to help the team win. There's nothing that I, really want to do stat-wise. It's just going out there and doing my job, and I feel like I can still compete at a high level. That's why I wanted to come back. That's why I'm back, and that's why I'm playing.
So there's so many folks who wondered whether or not this day would ever come. And this Bulls team looks different than it looked the last time you were playing. As a group, you said to Shams, it's not about what you can accomplish individually. As a team, what do you think you can do? How much do you think you can accomplish? And how much is fueling you? You know what? Folks said I would never be back here. What are they going to say now type of deal?
I think we just got to take it game by game. This is definitely a new team. I feel a lot older than I did when I first got here. So that's new for me. But everybody in here is having great energy, man. We're trying to play on the same page, play fast. We've got in Bulls basketball, and it's a long season. So take it one game at a time and just stay together and ride the journey.
Lonzo, I'm sure there's a lot of young players around the country, around the world who look at you and they're in the middle of whatever recovery process they're going through, wondering if they're ever going to be able to be back on the floor. Is there a moment you can share with us that tells us just about your perseverance that could be a lesson to them as well?
I would say just trusting yourself first and foremost. You know, if you don't believe you can do it, then who else will, you know? And at the end of the day, just know that it's probably not just you on the trip. You have a bunch of people around you, so use all the resources, you know, all the emotions you can get from everybody else to bring you up. Because, you know, every day it doesn't feel like the best day, but there's a brighter light at the end of the tunnel, and you just got to get there.
Well, I think, Shams, I speak for all basketball fans when I say, Lonzo, we are rooting for you. This is what sport, this is what perseverance, triumph is all about. And it is so fun to see you back on the court. Thank you for joining us, and be well.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Let's stick in the East here. A big storyline coming into training camp was Jason Tatum's newly tweaked jump shot. Remember, in the postseason, he struggled from three. He shot 28%. So far this preseason, he shot 39%. And our very own sharpshooter pointed it out on our show. Previously on NBA Today.
He's trying to increase his efficiency from shooting from distance. And what he's trying to do is eliminate a little bit of this hitch. And you see how slow the release was before, right? He drops it down to his waist. That's what we call by the hitch. It doesn't go directly from chest to release point. Maybe that is an area of improvement for Jason Tatum.
So, Legs, this clip got a lot of traction and a lot of actually questions online. So let's dive a little deeper into Tatum's bag. Can you explain that hitch that you're talking about here?
I can. And what we mean by hitch really is getting the ball from point A to point B. Point A is the catch. Point B is getting it to this part right here. And if you take a look at Jason Tatum, you know, from in the past and when he has struggled with some of his catch and shoot threes, you see where this ball has to go. The catch, the drop down to his belt buckle, and then up through the plane and then finally off of his fingertips. Another example right here. You can really see as he gets that ball down, that time even below his belt buckle, and then it freezes right there when he lets it go. Now here's some examples of guys, there is no hitch. That ball never gets below Klay Thompson's number. Now this is one of the greatest shooters of all time. I get it. But this is what you're trying to emulate if you're Jason Tatum in the offseason. Bogdanovich, another guy. That time he brought it down a little bit, but it basically stayed right here. From the top of his number to the bottom is where it stayed. For Jason Tatum, right now, what he's talking about trying to do is eliminate this. Point A, I said, is on the catch, wherever that ball ends up being. How do you get it to point B with eliminating this? When you do this, you're making the basketball travel so far by the time you get it to the port where you're going to load the basketball and release it from your fingertip. That's a lot of moving parts. A lot of things can go wrong. It creates inconsistency. What you're trying to do is get that catch as close as you can. There's always going to be a slight drop, but the more you can get it quickly to this point to come off of your right eyebrow if you're Jason Tatum, because the rest of it looks good. His extension, his wrist follow through, the way his elbow and wrist lock at the same time. All of that is beautiful. It even comes off the fingertips properly with great rotation. It's just this middleman part. How long it takes to get there. If he can reduce that, even by, I'm talking about a quarter of a second, less than that, Malika, here's the difference in an NBA game. If you've got a 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" athlete closing out to get to you, and you do this, it's the difference between taking a shot that's palm on palm contested and a semi-contested shot, which for an NBA player, you're talking about increasing your percentages 5, 6, 7 percentage points. That's the difference between getting a shot off in the NBA and
starting, drumroll please, at number 10, we have Anthony Edwards, followed by Kevin Durant, and then number 8 is Joel Embiid. But wait, there is more. It will be interesting, though, to see how many games Embiid played in because he won't be playing back-to-backs. At number 7, we have LeBron James. 6, Steph Curry. And then we get into the top 5. Jason Tatum, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Luka Doncic, which leaves just one name. Who is that, you might ask? Well, it's an MVP, Nikola Jokic. He claims the top spot on the list. He was voted number 2 last season. Giannis took the top honor a year ago. So that's what the experts voted on. Let's see what our panel on NBA Today thinks with a little fill in the blank. Legs, could you complete the sentence for me, please?
I will try.
Okay, the best player in the NBA this season will be...
Luka Doncic. I think this is the year he breaks through and gets an MVP. Now, to do that, though, he's got to have the regular season team success. You know, they've only won 50 games twice since he's been in Dallas, and 52 is the high. It's going to take more than that. The Dallas Mavericks should be a team now built for the regular season that can go get 56, 57, 58 wins, be near the number 1 seed. If that happens, with what this guy does, controls games, I think Luka this year wins his first MVP.
Okay, and is the best player in the league. What do you think, Perk?
Look, I'm going with a guy that we started off early in the show talking about. Anytime Giannis Antetokounmpo start talking about championships, damn it, it rings a bell to me. I'm going with Giannis. He's going to have to be the best player in the world in order for him to get where they're trying to go, because their talent is so limited and the Eastern Conference is so great. We know that Giannis loves going against the world. He loves being the underdog. I believe that him and Damian Lillard will figure out the 2-man game. And Giannis, of course, like he does every single season, he will lead the league in points in the paint because he will absolutely embrace the role in the 2-man game of rolling to the basket.
1 for Luka, 1 for Giannis. Brian, roll this home for me. That's a phrase.
Malika, I feel very comfortable leaving Nikola Jokic right there at number 1. The guy has won the MVP 3 of the last 4 years. The year he didn't win it, you may recall he won the finals MVP. The guy is at the top of his game. The Nuggets are going to need him to play great. He's a workhorse. I see no reason to take him out of the top spot.
Speaking of the Nuggets, let's keep this rolling because the blanks aren't filling in themselves here. We get to see Nikola Jokic and Anthony Edwards, which begs the question tonight, that's at 8 o'clock Eastern. Wendy, of these two teams, which chance do you think, or which team has a better chance of representing the West?
So as much as I appreciate what Jokic has done, I'm just a little bit concerned about Jamal Murray, who's dealing with another knee issue to start this season. And I think the Timberwolves, not only have they gotten stronger, they've got some guys on their bench who I think are going to play bigger roles. So it's close. I don't feel strongly about it, but I would have to answer Wolves in this scenario.
Look, I think you could make arguments for a number of teams at the top of the West that they got better. I don't think you could make that argument for the Denver Nuggets right now. Not only is Jamal Murray coming in already a little bit banged up, you're also going to see the KCP effect not being there. I love Christian Brown, but he's going to get an opportunity to fill very big shoes in what KCP did for that team. So I look at those other teams at the top, and Minnesota's one of them. I think Minnesota, you make a stronger case, ends up in the finals. Dallas, I think, improved. Oklahoma City improved. I don't know I can say that about the Denver Nuggets.
I can, and this time I have to disagree with Wendy and Legs. I'm going with the Denver Nuggets for us them having a better outcome, a better outcome this season in the Western Conference. Past the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes, you got Jokic, a guy that's going to do everything. I understand the concern of Jamal Murray and his knee. Michael Porter Jr., we saw him last year. He raised his game, elevated his game to all-star caliber play. I believe in Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon has looked fantastic this preseason. And by the way, they got a guy that's from LA. They call him the Brody, Russell Westbrook, who Michael Malone got a lot of faith in. Jokic also want to play with him. I believe he's going to contribute a lot to this Denver Nuggets team, which is going to make them successful.
By the way, we're talking about these two teams because they play in the preseason, but somewhere the Dallas Mavericks are saying, hey, remember us? We represented the Western Conference last year. It's time now for some top of the night. That was the top 3 plays from Wednesday night. We're going to start with top of the top. Bam Adebayo had this full court heave to Jimmy Butler on time, on target legs.
That is nice. He didn't even get that above his head either. He pushed that from his shoulder. That thing is a laser beam 70 feet in the air.
And then we have Tyrese Maxey lobbing it up for 2 Sixers here. They both jump. Who gets it? I mean, Kelly Oubre gets that part.
Hey, look. Somebody go get it, right? Just put it up there.
Whose ever elevator goes to a higher floor.
That's why they call it the city of brotherly love. Number 1, though, Sabrina Ionescu. Oh, gosh, that was stone cold. Hitting the step back over the Lynx to take a 2-1 series lead in this one. You know it's serious when she's walking back down the court like that. Coming up on NBA Today, where though did Dagger rank on the list of all-time final shots? Big Perk, he's got a big list for us right after this.
Right? Big perks, big list of biggest shots in finals history, okay? After watching the finals last night, the WNBA finals, and watching what Sabrina did, I'm going to start it off here. Bam! Sabrina is not number 5. You know who's number 5? You remember what happened in 2013? I remember I was sitting on my couch watching Chris Bosh with the tip-off to who? Not Ray Allen. We called him Jesus. You know why? Because he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Ray Allen helped change the series with that shot. Wendy, I need your energy here. You got to be quick, but you got to be loud, and you got to bring the energy.
It is my honor to say, bam!
There she go. Put her up there.
Oh,
did you see her getting her Steph Curry bag last night? Sabrina, did you see what she did last night? She had the isolation. She said, no, I'm going with the step back from the logo on the road in a hostile environment. One of the greatest games I've ever witnessed in my basketball life. And Sabrina, you did that, girl. You did that. Legs, bring your energy. I need you now.
Oh, the suspense. The suspense is killing me. Bam! What you got at 3?
Oh.
Do you remember this game? I believe it happened in 1987, and they call it the sky hook. He stole it from his teammate and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the Boston Garden over 2 Hall of Famers and got the victory. Irvin Magic Johnson. Malika, I know you've been waiting in the cuts, girl. I know you're ready to bring that energy. There we go.
Oh, why'd you give me this one?
That was it. That was it. Kyrie Irving.
City.
You remember they was down in this series? Mm-hmm. One of the greatest comebacks in finals history, NBA history, and over a Hall of Famer, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving. One of his most defining moments in his individual career, coming in at number 1. Bam! Put it up there. Damn it, I keep him on my feet. 1998. MJ in Salt Lake City, snatching the ankles of Russell, making him do the cha-cha slide, posing with that mid-range jumper for the game. You know how huge that was? Again, I've never been excited in my NBA days like I am today about this big list, and it's because I'm coming off of watching that game from last night.
That is a pretty...
Hello, still on the subject of Zach LaVine, he started the season with the Chicago Bulls, but he may not finish it with the team, as the team appears to be following a rebuilding plan. LaVine, with a 5-year contract worth $215 million, could be traded to free up cap space and renew the roster. The Los Angeles Lakers are one team mentioned as a possible destination, given their interest in strengthening the roster around LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Former NBA player Chandler Parsons suggested that the Lakers should pursue LaVine. He believes LaVine could help with his scoring ability and athleticism. The Lakers have assets like Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, who could interest the Bulls in a trade. LaVine's health is another important factor. After knee surgery, he returned to full fitness, posting 24.8 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 4.2 assists last season, while also posting solid shooting performance. This increases his value on the trade market, as he has demonstrated that he is still a high-level athlete. With the NBA trade deadline still far away, LaVine has time to prove himself, and rumors about his future are likely to grow. With an average of 20 points per game over his career and a 38.5% three-point shooting percentage, he is an attractive piece for teams looking for offensive reinforcements, especially if the Bulls decide to embark on a full rebuild. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with all the news. Cheers and see you next time.